Immersive Fusion. Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to talk about the instrumentation process of an ASP.NET Core application using Immersive Fusion NuGet packages. With Immersive APM instrumentation, you can really visualize and diagnose your applications quickly and easily with just a few lines of code. Okay, here we go. I've picked a particular ASP.NET Core GitHub sample application that I have no experience with, and I did that intentionally just to demonstrate the ease of integration and operation provided by Immersive APM. We're going to clone the application. Just opening my Windows terminal. And we won't be making any functional changes to the application. Instead, we'll simply add the instrumentation for Immersive APM. Here's the list of available projects. Let's define this one as our startup project. To start, we will compile the project just to ensure that we can do so without issues. Success! In our selected application, I see a Swagger UI and some API endpoints. Let's see what happens if I call any of the endpoints. Okay, this looks great. Now, let's take a glance at the Immersive APM documentation. We are looking at the ASP.NET Core instructions. There are a few packages here that we'll add to our application. Once I add them, we'll copy some additional code into the startup.cs file, and we'll be good to go. We open and edit the source file. Okay, that's a fine spot. Let's put the instrumentation here. Please follow these instructions if you're starting from scratch. In our case, we're just going to go through and copy what we need. We'll start by adding the NuGet packages. Let's add a few extras too. I'm not sure if they'll apply, but we'll add them just in case. Additional instrumentation will address dependencies on SQL or cache calls. Finally, the last package is Immersive APM Open Telemetry Direct Access. Direct access is the most performant method for ingesting large volumes of trace information. We now navigate back to our project and see the dependencies. I see both the Immersive APM and the OpenTelemetry dependencies. Let's check on our application compilation. This Docker error seems to be unrelated, so let's not worry about it. We swap back to our documentation and copy these namespaces and the remaining instrumentation code. If everything went well, we shouldn't get any warnings or errors. Great! We now see the successful integration of NuGet packages and code. To initialize these variables, we navigate to our Immersive Fusion Forever trial. We'll just copy and paste these values into our application. If you need to create your own Forever trial or start a subscription, you can go to the Getting Started section in my.immersivefusion.com. We want to have TLS, and we do not want to ignore TLS errors. Here's the username, which in this case matches the name of our virtual host. Here is our exchange. It's important that you match your exchange name as it is grid-specific, and traces are routed by it to the correct location. And with that, we are done. I'm going to run the application now and test my changes. Let's test and make sure we're able to call the API controller and see results. To review and immerse us into our application, we now open the Immersive Apm client and log in. Immersive Apm defaults to my trial grid. Let's open the map view and see what happens when we call our endpoint. We should see the happy path. Great, we are already getting results in Immersive Apm. If we submit more requests, we'll see them in real time as well. The happy path is when we see green. It means our application requests are not erroring out. Now, let's jump into the grid and examine our application transactions. We can see that we're calling the API and getting some catalog types and various other information such as tags for each activity. You can always decorate your application with more tags and nested activities if you want to trace your application at a lower level. While the happy path is important and it shows the end-to-end experience, we're going to intentionally break the controller. We want to introduce an error and visualize the change in our Immersive Apm experience. I'm going to put a breakpoint in the controller action. We now call the endpoint from Swagger and ensure that the breakpoint is hit. Success! Okay, here's our breakpoint. And to proceed, we're going to force an exception. Running our application once again and calling the endpoint. Oh no! I see that I have an error. When we're developing small applications, we don't really have much of a need for an APM because exceptions are easily visible. However, in larger applications, we may not always have a Swagger UI exposed. It's even less likely in production we'll expose errors or exception call stacks. Let's see if we can mimic a production environment by disabling exception bubbling. We'll go back to startup.cs and scroll all the way to the end. Here, we're going to remove the developer exception page. Now we get a 500 error and have little information to debug or diagnose. To diagnose, we return to the Immersive Apm client to view the error and its details. Again, green is good and red, not so much. We'll pause the application so the blocks don't disappear. And here we can see the error. We can actually improve the experience by enabling exception recording. To turn on exception recording, we return to startup.cs. And here, we enable the option to record exceptions. We now resume real-time operation, and the Immersive APM client cleans up from past activity. We don't have an exception on the Swagger UI, and nothing is provided to the user other than error code. However, if we investigate this error in Immersive APM, we see exactly what's wrong. We could also export the exception and use our favorite editor to identify the line and file where the error occurred. In this case, it was on line 38 in the list file. There we go. So, we hope you enjoyed this video and let us know how we can help you with your subscription.